And we are high atop and deep inside world headquarters of 5 Reasons to Bet. I am Jim Rodriguez, and I am in Dallas, Texas. Yeehaw! Believe me, I am in the bubble of the Chocolatito Gallo Estrada fight. And with my man here, Jonathan Ramakan. What's up, dude? I butchered your last name,
I'm doing great, man. No,
I
it was
butchered
actually
that.
good. You actually did a good job with it. I
wanna-
appreciate you shooting for it.
I want to say rom-com. I want to say romantic comedy, Rubicon. You get it all, right?
Yeah, it's all out there, all out there.
Well, listen, it's 5 Reasons to Bet with Jrod here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. We got the weekend is upon us, and we got a whole cavalcade of good stuff. Some boxing, some MMA, NBA, even some Grammys. Yes, and you can bet all this, get in all the actions at busr.com/5RSN. 5RSN. One number, 3 letters to get all the action on all the betting. So let's start with a little combat sports. Now, you, Jonathan, are a big UFC guy, big MMA guy. There's something going on in the octagon this weekend, right?
Yeah. You know, Bilal Muhammad stepping in on short notice, and he's taking on Leon Edwards, who's coming in off almost a 2-year layoff. Now, these two guys are at the top of the welterweight division, right? The winner probably is going to end up in the top 3, if not get that number 1 contention, like Dana White said. So it's a pretty big fight in the welterweight division, trying to see who Kamaru Usman is going to fight next. Undercard is not as stacked. Obviously, we just had UFC 259, so it's a little bit more shallow. But you'll have a couple names that you'll recognize, like Dan Ige, Angela Overkill Hill. She main evented for the first time. Obviously, she was the first female African American to main event a UFC card, so she's on there as well. So a couple of good names on there as well. And like where you're at right now, we got the Chocolatito versus the Estrada fight, so that's going to be a fun one as well.
I love it. We got a rooster and some chocolate. Chocolatito from Nicaragua, El Gallo from Mexico. And this is actually a rematch. These guys fought in Mexico City at 108 pounds.
Yeah.
This is now at Superfly, which is 112. And you got Chocolatito, who's at the end of his career, against Estrada, who's, at a point now where he can be one of the great Mexican fighters of all time. And this is for the belts. This is to unify the WBA and the WBC belt at Superfly at 112. And it's interesting because Estrada is the favorite in this fight, but Chocolatito's got that magic, man. He's almost on that retirement tour. And it's interesting to see because Chocolatito is 20-0 against Mexican fighters. 20-0 against Mexican fighters. And here in Dallas, you're going to have La Raza here. Things are open for business again here in Texas. So it'll be interesting to see, A, what the crowd is, and B, what they can do in this fight. Now, Estrada's the favorite, but here are some interesting bets you can do. If Estrada wins by knockout, it's plus 350. That's an interesting bet. What's going to happen is this thing's probably going to go the distance. That's what everybody says. But I got a little bit of insider information. Estrada's had a tough camp. Trainer got here late. It's not been the perfect camp. A good value bet is that this thing doesn't go the distance, okay? If it doesn't go the distance, plus 175. And if you want to be crazy, if you want to really roll some dice, a draw, plus 1,600. Could we see a Chocolatito Estrada 3 plus 1,600? I'd take a wager on that. I think Estrada's going to win the fight. I think he's going to win by unanimous decision. But those are some possible, and if you want to get Estrada to win by Chocolatito to win by a knockout, there's another one you can float out at plus 450. All right, so little NBA going on. This is the best game that I think is to bet on because it's so wild today. It's the Rockets and the Jazz, Jonathan. The Rockets were the worst team against the spread in the first half of the season. The Jazz were the best team against the spread. The number for this, 17. Jazz, 17-point home favorites against a Rockets team that lost 14 in a row. You taking those 17, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of have to, right? Because if the number is that big, you kind of have to go with it and give it a shot. With something that big, you never know what can happen, right? Donovan Mitchell puts up a goose egg, or they have a rough shooting night, and then Houston pulls through. Even if it's not a win, if they cover that spread, you'll be good to go there.
I mean, that is a John Holmes. That is a Peter North, Johnny Sins number, 17. And if you know who I'm talking about, good for you. But 17 points. The Rockets have lost 14 in a row. They're coming off a 20-point loss in Sacramento last night. So this is a back-to-back. For as much as that is an enormous number, I kind of want to go with the Jazz minus the 17. See if you can tease it down a little bit and go with that. College hoops, my alma mater, Creighton University, semifinals of the Big East. Now, a couple days ago, I asked you and I told you, hey, take Creighton to win the Big East tournament. They were plus 200. You were going to more than double your money. Now they're down to 150, plus 150, but they're in the semifinals tonight against UConn. Okay, it's virtually a pick 'em. But you know what? I like the over-under in this game. 143.5, Creighton and UConn. Both teams coming off 30-point wins. I like that game. And did you hear about Patrick Ewing? Nobody knows who he is at Madison Square Garden. He's mad as hell.
I mean, how can you not know who Patrick Ewing is? You know, he's the best player in New York Knicks history. And for a security guard to stop a guy that's 7 foot, you know, first of all, when you see a guy that's 7 foot, the first thing you think, he's a basketball player, right? And then to not realize that he's Patrick Ewing, it's like, what's going on in your head in Madison Square Garden? James Dolan just does not know how to run that team top to bottom.
Georgetown is the dog in that game. I'm going to go with Georgetown. Why not? Ride Patrick Ewing. And again, can I see your credential? I think Patrick would go, why don't you look up to the rafters? You see that 33 with Ewing on it? That's my credential.
Right.
That's me. All right. Final moment. The Grammys are this weekend. The Grammys. All right. Always fun stuff. And you can bet the Grammys at busr.com/5RSN. Number 5RSN. Good partners, good folks over there. Album of the year, Taylor Swift, right? Tay-Tay's the favorite, minus 260, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Like I was telling you yesterday, as far as pop culture goes, I'm not too in tune with it. But, I mean, Taylor Swift has a history of getting these calls and getting these nods. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to go with Taylor Swift, that's the lucky. Right. That's the favorite of it, right? That's kind of what you know that's going to happen. That's Kentucky is going to make the Sweet 16, right? You know Taylor Swift's going to win a Grammy sometime tomorrow night. So I feel like Taylor Swift is a pretty safe pick going into tomorrow or Sunday. Sorry.
I got some good ones for you. Okay, record of the year. That's kind of like it's funny. I always couldn't figure out album and record. Album is sort of like the way they put it together. Recording is like the recording. It's the engineering part of it. Okay, Dua Lipa, Don't Start Now, minus 240. She's the favorite to be record of the year. How about Post Malone, Circles? We all know Circles, right? Everybody sings that, right? Plus 1,200. I'm going to float. I'm going to go with Post Malone. Song of the year, got to go with Taylor. She's at minus 150. But here's a little, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation. I Can't Breathe is nominated for Song of the Year. Plus 1,200. Considering, trying to be politically correct, I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve to be Song of the Year. Plus 1,200. Might be a nice little $10 bet there, plus 1,200 for I Can't Breathe to be Song of the Year. You never know.
Yeah, fun one to get. Definitely fun one to get into. Any more Grammy picks you got there? Because that's some nice little sleepers you got going on.
That's it. That's all my analysis. Like the rest of them, you're going to have to go to my Twitter or Instagram, Jrod Show, and of course we can always hear. We're Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 5 Reasons to Bet here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network here on YouTube. Good stuff, man. It's our first show together. We you got me so nervous here. It's Dallas. There's boxing. There's stuff going on. There's people walking around here. I think we did okay. Mama, we made it.
Yeah. Last thing to go before we go, we got a little parlay for UFC tomorrow. We're going to take Leon Edwards. We're going to take Darren Stewart, and we're going to take Angela Hill. And we're going to go for a 3-fight parlay there. They're all favorites. The Eric and the Darren Stewart fight is a little bit more of a pick 'em, right? But if you pick Leon Edwards to go to decision, which almost all of his fights have gone, he rarely wins by knockout. Bilal Muhammad rarely loses by knockout or gets finished. So this is a fight where both these guys can really go to the decision. And then for the Darren Stewart fight, he started off 0-3, 2-5, or 5-2 since, or 3-2 since then. Sorry about that. And now he has a 5-5 record in the UFC, taking on a guy that hasn't really showed out in Eric Anders. He came from LFA. He was a knockout artist coming in, but now he's shown that he really hasn't developed with the UFC. He's starting to really sink. Both these guys have a 5-5 record. But Darren Stewart is showing that he's a much better fighter when it comes to this as far as all around. And when you go to Angela Hill, she was a woman that's supposed to be in the title picture. She had a really good fight against Michelle Waterson. So I think this is a 3-fight parlay. Leon by decision, Darren Stewart, and Angela Hill. And you can get a pretty good pick for that on tomorrow's UFC fights.
I love it. My man. All right. busr.com/5, the number 5, RSN for Reason Sports Network. 5 RSN. That's where you get all the action at BSR. I'm Jim Rodriguez. It's Jonathan Rompelcon. Thanks to Manny. Happy bets, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your bets.